Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of HSP I am your host, Barbara, and today I am joined by the lovely Cindy, and we are going to be talking about her road from 9 to 5 to freedom. And this is a huge topic. I know that this was my deepest desire, if I was being honest. And I see this being often a secret desire for many of the people that come to me. So I'm looking forward to having this conversation with you, Cindy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
So, and we already talked a little bit about it, but 9 to 5, everybody knows the 9 to 5. That is a bit, if you were not born into entrepreneurial parents, then the general idea is you get a good education and then you get a good job and then you work that job until your pension and eventually you die,
Yeah, pretty much.
right? And for lots of people, that 9 to 5 is not a happy 9 to 5. It's
Hmm.
I need to do this because then I can keep myself alive and pay the bills type of situation.
Yes, exactly. That's how I felt. I've worked for 10 years at the same company and I'm not very old. So 10 years is a lot
Yes.
for my age. And yeah, that's pretty much. I remember at some point when I was young, I wanted to go work in a camp with kids. I was
Mhm.
about like 16, 17, and 17. And my mom said, you have a really good job and steady job at the supermarket. Why would you leave that for
Mhm.
summer, for something for 2 months? And that stuck with me all my life because I was like, I'm 16. I'm supposed to experience nature, changing job, discovering who I am and what I want to do. I ended up not going, but it's something that stayed with me. It's like
Mhm.
a phrase that I still carry, but in a very different way now that I'm doing whatever I want.
I love that. And that is so true, right? It's often I call them the rules, the bullshit rules of life, the way things are supposed to be done that have been handed down from generation to generation to generation about saving for whenever there is a lack in your life or your washing machine breaks or whatever thing could happen that you would need money for, or making sure that you have a steady job that pays the bills, that you can not lose even if you do crazy stuff, so that you have job security, things like
Hmm.
that. And I think what you're saying and what your mom saying, that it falls into that category of beliefs that our parents in this case have, that they instill upon us just by making remarks like this.
Hmm. Yeah, and at the end, you have to alchemize those type of information. Like, what do I want to do with this now that I'm an adult and I'm creating new patterns for myself?
Yes.
So it took a long time before realizing how deep that was, like, um, just inside of me and how I was living my life with that type of rules. But I think the age of Aquarius is also about that. Like, everything that doesn't serve us anymore, how can we transform it into something different that
Yeah.
is more aligned with everyone?
Yes, that is my belief as well. But it's almost like we go into some sort of zombie mode until we reach that moment where we just and we've learned to keep our head down and to just do what is expected from us and to work really hard and find a good partner, maybe have some kids, the house with the white picket fence, maybe a dog or a cat, and then that's supposed to be life. But that is not life for everybody. And when you try to sort of fit into that life and that is not your life, then eventually a moment will arise where the life that you've created for yourself no longer fits who
Hmm.
you are supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened after my 10 years at the same company. It was a great job. The people were lovely, and there was a sort of comfort that was really, really present. And then COVID hit,
Mm-hmm.
and everyone was in a situation where they were questioning their entire lives.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not an exception. So I decided to leave and to just have faith. That's literally what I did because I had no plans. I didn't know what I would do afterwards. I was just sick of being a number because even if that number was comfortable, it was not me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
And
Hmm.
it can, that moment of realizing, oh, I'm not really happy. I'm
Hmm.
supposed to be happy. I have a good job, it pays the bills. Maybe I have a nice partner, and a nice house, and I have everything basically that I've ever been told that you should want.
Hmm.
But yeah, if I'm being honest, and it's being very difficult because I'm sort of a little bit of shame for being this honest, but I'm not happy.
Mm.
That moment.
Yeah.
And for some, it comes like this, like contemplative states. For others, it comes on the heels of a severe burnout or an accident, a huge health scare,
Yeah, it's usually when
COVID.
we hit the rock bottom that it happens. No matter what rock bottom means to you,
Yes.
it can be in many different ways, but it's when you feel like there's no purpose in what you're doing anymore and you're not fulfilling by anything
Mm-hmm.
that you start asking yourself questions and like, I have one life, at least the one I'm experiencing right now, and what do I want to do with it? So you ask yourself that question, and for some people it's harder because they build something so big around it. So you were talking about the family, the
Mm-hmm.
house, the pets, and everything. It's harder. I didn't have all that, so it was easy to like, well, easy, that's a big word. Easy compare as if I had all those things, but I still had an apartment, a car. I was living in the same city for my whole life. So there was a lot of things that was hard to let go of
Mm-hmm.
because I was so conditioned to live that way.
Yes.
But it takes really bit by bit because you can't change everything in one day. It
No,
took me three
then the
years
ego
total.
mechanism in ourselves, it really goes, oh my God, what are you doing? No, 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 no. So you cannot do that. Most people say that ego is the bad guy, that ego is the one keeping you small, and that you should let ego die, or things like that. I have quite heard that a lot. But actually, ego is not the bad guy at all. Ego is just
No.
your protection mechanism. The only thing ego wants is to keep you safe. And that's not bad in itself. And its deepest desire is to keep you safe. It's just when we are changing, when we are making choices we've never done made before, when we want to go into a direction that we've never tried before, even if that is drinking more water during the day, meditating every morning, and things that we think, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Change to ego is, oh God, I don't know where we're heading, so there could be potential danger, and I don't know how to protect you from that. So ego starts to act up because there could be potential danger, and his job is to protect you. But
Hmm.
it's important that we learn how to navigate this time in a way that we do move towards what we are called to, that our heart is saying us, this freedom, this longing, this wanting something without upsetting our internal system so much. And I think I get what you're saying when you say, for me, it was easier. I think you meant in the sense of you had just yourself to deal with, and you
Hmm.
could make decisions for yourself that affected your future. While when you have a family, you don't only have yourself to deal with, but also your
Yeah.
partner and possible children, and your decisions also impact their lives. So there's more to consider.
Hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah, I have a partner too, but we're very aligned in that sense. So everything we did it together, and sometimes having someone that thinks the same and wants the same makes it easier because you have someone
Yes.
to share it with and to make those decisions with. And when it's hard, they're there to help you going through the path of like changing your
Yes.
patterns. So for me, that's a plus because I've seen a lot of people struggling with changing of environment and everything. And what comes the most is I'm not surrounded by people that I can share that with.
Hmm.
Um, so
Yeah.
that's something that is very important. I'm so grateful for that. And you
Hmm.
were talking about the ego. I love that because for me, the ego is like our best friend. It's our gravity center. So if you don't try to understand who you are from that part of you, you're just not aligned. And that's where the bad ego that we call it enter and start to take control of our lives because we let the patterns become who we are instead of connecting with the ego that is our true self, actually. That's a bit my vision of it.
No, I agree with you. I don't see ego as the enemy at all. And I actually really appreciate that it makes me pause and it makes me think and that it makes me make sure that I'm sure about what I
Mm-hmm.
want to do and that I check in with myself and that I really feel my truth within myself when make a decision or moving somewhere. So I
Mm-hmm.
love that you're also on that same vision. And yeah, I think that that's why we're talking about this today, because so many people still see it as the bad guy, while
Yeah.
that is not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's the bad guy when you're not aligned with it.
Yes, and when you don't understand it, but basically you
Yeah,
are the bad guy yourself. And so
exactly. Enemy comes from inner me. So,
yes, exactly. You don't understand yourself on every aspect of your true self, and most of the time, our societal conditioning, the rules, have conditioned us in such a way that we are not ourselves. We are not living our true life. We most often don't even know who we are. For a long time, I had no clue who I was, and there were lots of
mhm,
things that I said or that I did that I just really didn't understand. And I had nobody to talk to about things like that. And that made me feel like I was weird and maybe broken, that there was something wrong with me and that I needed to be fixed.
yeah, definitely. A lot of people feels that way. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's because we are not being taught to connect with our true selves. We are being taught what is general accepted behavior or general accepted actions or things like that instead of what is true for me, what feels right for me, and tapping into your own wisdom, into your own gifts, and seeing them as valuable and beautiful instead of being ashamed for
Mhm.
it or
It
other negative things.
It's very random, but what you just said made me think about, the Little Mermaid movie, Disney
Hmm.
movie, when
Yeah,
she's using a fork and she's trying to like brush her hair with it, and people are just like, no, no, you have to eat, like it's made for that. But the creativity of looking at something and make it whatever you want it to be, it's something that we were a bit robbed of. Everything has
yeah.
to have their own names, titles has their used. So it just made me think about that. It was a funny image.
And if I'm being honest, I do have a comb that looks very much like a fork. So it's not even weird. But it's I think we are born into this world perfect. We have everything that we want, everything that we need. We don't doubt ourselves because otherwise we never would have walked, we never would have spoken, and we just go full steam ahead and we have faith in our ability to conquer speaking, to conquer walking, to conquer riding a bike, driving a car, whatever it is,
Mhm.
but especially in the younger years, we have this full confidence in ourselves. We don't even think about, well, what if I never learn to speak? No, those thoughts are not there when we're that age. And those thoughts come in at a later age, usually when we go to school, and then we sort of have to unlearn the things that make us special, talents that we have, natural talents, natural gifts, and such,
Mhm.
because it's socially unacceptable or it makes you weird or people don't understand it or people are afraid of it or whatever reasons there are for you not being able to be yourself in every aspect of it. And then
Yeah.
later, after our internal personal crisis, we sort of need to relearn everything we were already capable of doing.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
It's it's so interesting. But it's a job that we have to own. because we are able to make that transition of being programmed and deciding, well, I want new programs. I want to take more risk. I want to remove those fears that I carry that are literally not mine. So yeah, it takes a lot of courage to decide
Yes.
to do it, and it is scary. It's very,
Yes.
very scary.
Yes. You're absolutely right. I think it starts with awareness, becoming aware that the life that you're leading doesn't fulfill you. It
Hmm.
doesn't make you happy. And then having the courage to be honest about it. And that's
Yeah.
also what I see lots of people struggling about. Them, they might feel it, but they try to push it away or they try to not acknowledge it because as soon as you acknowledge it, then you need to do something with it. And then
Hmm.
all of these fears come up, that it will not be accepted or that it will cause problems or whatever types of fears come up. So yeah, I agree with you. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to pause and take a really hard look at yourself and your life and then be brutally honest about if you like yourself and if you like your life.
Hmm. This is so pretty the way you said it.
Thank you.
I love it. Yeah, it's exactly that. And then it's how much energy you want to put into changing that,
Hmm.
and how willing are you to take risk and give up
Yeah.
everything and decide to create something new.
Because that is also something that requires courage. It's not only the courage to be honest with yourself, but then it's also the courage to do something about it. And then once you start doing something about it, you will encounter things that are not pretty. You will encounter things that you don't like, and there will be harsh truths that you need to face that you might not want to face because they're painful and they're ugly. And standing your ground and facing them anyway because you want to move to the other side and you want to move into a life that does feel aligned and fulfilling, that requires courage because it's so much easier when the going gets tough that the tough just keep on going and just keep on running and don't stand to embrace that change and the painful things that could come with it.
Hmm. Yeah, doing light work is actually working with your darkness. So it's
Yes.
funny that we call it light work or light being or whatever, because at the end, it's like, how deep are you going into yourself? Like, what
Yeah.
are you like uncover? Like, what is all the darkness, the things that you keep very like buried that you don't want to look at, that has to come out for you to become that light and
Yes.
shine with on other people around you and in your
Yes.
entourage.
Yes, and they've now identified both light and dark workers. From what I understand, light workers are the healers in our environment, and the dark workers are the ones that go into shadow work, deep inner healing, looking at the uncomfortable, shining a light on it, bringing it into the light, and then
Mm,
dissolving it. And those are the dark workers. And you are absolutely right. And when you work with the dark, eventually you bring light.
hmm. Yes, exactly.
But that also requires a lot of courage because what I saw in my own life and what I also see with everybody that I am mentoring is that when you start to change, when you start to look at every aspect of yourself and healing the parts that need to be healed, letting go of the parts that don't make you proud, and embracing the parts that do, you start losing people along the way.
Oh yeah, definitely. My friends and family circle was never as tiny as it is right now. But at the same time, you see people that supports you way more, so you're even more grateful for the ones that are still around,
Yes.
and you can see how they were always there for you. So that's also, there's like a bad and a good side to it. It's like
Hmm.
one doesn't come with the other. And you just realize that you're losing less energy feeding other people
Yeah.
expectation when you just have the people that wants the best for you and that you do the same for them.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to say. I honestly can say that I'm a lot happier now with my tiny circle than I was with lots of people around me because it became painfully clear that the people I thought were my friends were not there when I needed a friend.
Hmm.
So I had to really revise my definition of friendship. And before, when you were being kind to me, I already called you my friend. Now, being my friend has a lot higher criteria. And
Yeah.
I also discovered that a lot of people were either influencing me in a way that I didn't like or sucking my energy in a way I also didn't like. And now that the circle is a lot smaller, my energy is a lot more consistent. I am overall a lot more happier. And the people that are there are people that I can count on no matter what, which is so much more valuable than having a large number of people that, when push comes to shove, are not there for you.
Hmm. I completely agree. And I also was someone that loved distraction. So I was not someone who wanted to look what was speaking to me from within. So I was always
Yes.
surrounded by people, hanging out, going at places, doing activities and everything. So you need like people to do that with. So I had a lot of people like that in my life that were serving a purpose of distraction, and not
Mhm.
because they were bad or whatever. It's just like that was our interactions. It was as simple as that.
Yes.
But with looking within, you started thinking, okay, those people are really nice. They're doing their thing, but I'm not aligned with the relationship we created anymore. And when you
Mhm.
start changing that because you want to share with them who you're becoming, they just naturally vanish.
Yes, yes, yes. And we also don't have to be angry about it or disappointed
Hmm.
in people. I see that as also being a phase for many people that they're angry that someone all of a sudden never calls anymore or checks in, or that we're disappointed in actions of people or things that people say. But it's a natural process. It's changed a lot for me when I learned that people are not meant to be in your life forever. I
Hmm.
unconsciously, I think I just sort of assumed that everybody that came into your life would be in your life until you died and be your friend until you died. And that is one of the lessons I learned, that that's not true. Sometimes people come into your life to push you to a certain breaking point so that you can grow into your next level. Sometimes people come into your life to teach you a valuable lesson. Sometimes people come into your life to support you through a specific thing, and that was their only job, and afterwards they disappear again. And to
Hmm.
be okay with that, to just accept also the I call it the ebb and flow of relationships. That sometimes people are in your life for a longer period. It can even be that someone is in your life for 20, 25 years, and then their time is up for being in your life and you part ways. And when you reach that point where you can just go with it, accept it, as a normal something part of life,
Hmm.
then that also makes a huge difference, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's about being grateful with the journey you had with that person. So
Yes,
it's what did we went through together and how did I evolve and how did I help you evolve, and what we're doing afterwards, how we're just seeing the best out of each other and wish the best for
yes,
each other. Yeah,
yes,
I totally agree with that.
exactly. And what I also saw was that the whole COVID situation was a big catalyst for people because I had many friends, like what you're describing, that were distracting themselves with everything, always going to a cafe to read the newspaper, talking to everybody, owning a dog so that they could talk to everybody that they met along the way. Lots of distractions. And then all of a sudden, COVID came and everything was closed and you couldn't go anywhere and all the distractions fell away. And oh God, now I'm left in a room by myself with myself.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That's what happened with me. So I had to look at my life, and I was traveling a lot before, so it's something that I was not able to do. And I
Hmm.
worked for a travel company, so It was even harder going to work and not being able to just enjoy the perks of working there.
Yes.
So I had to look at myself and make some decision and just decide. I took so many different choices that I would have done before. That was a hard, very, very, very hard path.
Hmm.
And as much as hard it was, I'm so grateful that it happened because I would not be the same today.
No.
And there's a lot of people that still sees it, well, it is still a very, very big trauma for the entire planet. But
Hmm.
at the same time, it's one of the best, and I might receive rocks by saying that, but it's one of the best thing that happened
Hmm.
before it allowed us to change, to evolve, and to like it changed the frequency of the earth, literally.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for that. And I have chills saying this because we were stuck in a patterns that was refusing, and I mean a societal patterns that
Hmm.
refused to evolve with the technology and everything. And it just like exploded in so many different beautiful things
Yes.
in as much a universal thing as individualist thing. So yeah,
Hmm.
it's yeah.
No, I agree. We were heading on a very destructive path, and something needed to happen to get us off it.
Mm-hmm.
And the end result for lots of people in that moment might have felt really uncomfortable, really disastrous. But that is often the catalyst for change. And what I've seen is that people, that's sort of circling back to what you said earlier, the rock bottom. For some reason, humans need to hit rock bottom before they're finally ready to change. If it isn't mm, shitty enough, if it isn't heavy enough, if it isn't pressure enough, then we don't move.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes you have a very, very big tolerance. So the rock bottom can be very far.
Yeah, and that also depends on how you were raised. So if trauma and violence is a consistent partner in your life from a very young age,
Mm,
then you have learned to cope with that within your life for a very long time. And then a lot needs to happen to be even worse than the violence and the trauma you already experienced when you were too young to even know how to with it.
mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So, what would be some advice you could give to someone who is in that really painful, uncomfortable position where they are sort of starting to realize that the old life is no longer working, but are not completely sure what the new life is supposed to look like?
I would say that anything that makes you scared, go for it. Because when it's scary, it's new and you have something to learn out of it. And when I say something to learn, it can be something completely beautiful. It doesn't have to be painful. So when you move from a place in life and you're looking forward and you're like, oh my God, that's scary. Like just creating your company can be scary, but it will bring you joy. It would bring you new people around you. It would bring you maybe more money if you do it right. So there's like so many things that you can acquire from doing something that is scary. And
Hmm.
that can start with just like, by example, someone that is um, scared of going outside of their home. It can be as simple as that, just going through the stairs to start going to the street and not even being outside of the building. It
Yeah.
can brings you joy, and at some point you might be able to go outside, and it just becomes bigger and bigger because when you push your limit of what scares you, you're just becoming more aware and more able to discover yourself in many different environments. So that
Hmm.
would be my advice. Do anything that scares you because that's how you find yourself.
Yes. Yes, I totally agree. I vividly remember the first time I went on a solo trip. I had lost my relationship of 7 years, and the year that that happened, I went on a trip with a girlfriend. But then the next year, she had a boyfriend, and my other girlfriends had gotten children, and there was nobody who wanted to go on a trip with me or was able to go on a trip with me. So another friend asked me, "Where are you going this year? Are you going on a holiday?" And I said, "No, I cannot find anyone to go with me. So I guess I'm not having a holiday this year." And he looked at me and he said, "But you can go by yourself." And I was like, No.
Oh, yeah,
It
that
hadn't even
moment.
crossed my mind. And then sort of the idea takes root, right? And I started to think about it and I thought, well, okay, why is my immediate response no? I cannot go by myself. And then you start thinking about it, and the entire process was both very exciting and very scary.
Yeah.
And today, it's still the best holiday I ever had because I learned so much about myself, about what I am and not capable of, so much more than I ever thought I was capable of. And I learned to trust in myself. So yeah, it needs to be both scary, but also exciting on some level.
Hmm. Yeah.
Then you're on the right path.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I agree. I tried doing some scary things that I felt not super good afterwards, but there were more lesson at the end. So I was able to learn something about me, even in those that were more uncomfortable and not as exciting and nice with the outcome, if I can say.
Yeah, and that's also
Mhm.
a very big, important shift, I think, that I made, and it sounds like you made the same shift, is where with everything that happens, you no longer focus on how shitty it is or how uncomfortable or how bad or blah, 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 but that you look for the silver lining in it. That you
Yeah.
look at, okay, so this didn't go completely according to plan, no, but what did we learn from this? Or what did this experience bring me? What is something positive that I can take away from this, that I can take with me into the future that has made it worthwhile?
Yeah, it makes you being able to take control of your life and not feel like the life brought you like a challenge that you can feel victimized by.
Hmm.
So just your perception of it and being like, yeah, okay, did I learn? Makes it easier to go through because you're looking at what it brought you instead of resisting the lesson and feeling that you were a victim of it.
Exactly, yes.
Hmm.
And because when you feel like a victim or when you act like a victim, you are giving away your control. And when you
Yeah,
learn at the lessons learned and take that into your future, then you are taking control.
exactly.
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that. So then the last thing I sort of want to talk to you about is the freedom part of what we were going to be talking about today because we pre-talked a little bit and you are living your freedom dream and you are traveling around the world with your supportive partner. So how does someone make that happen? How did you make that happen?
I would say it was a preparation of 3 years, making decision that I was scared of. And it was not planned, actually. It was not planned that we would leave. It's been 10 months that we left home, and we don't know exactly when we'll go back. And we haven't planned more than the first month when we left. So everything else was just following our intuition and the signs about the next country we would visit. So it was every decision I took for 3 months that allowed me to start that journey. So
Mm-hmm.
I had to leave. I was very independent from a young age. So I had to leave my apartments, which was something I was like, no, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Selling all my stuff, going to live at my mom's partner, and it ended up being an incredible experience, but I was so scared of living with other people because just having a roommate was something I didn't want. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
no, I
I
need
get
my
it.
space.
Yeah.
So I had to make so many decisions, leaving my job, starting a class, doing so many different things that just allowed me to get closer and closer and closer from the decision of leaving and leaving everything behind at
Mm-hmm.
the same time. So it was not planned. I just followed every small decision and instinct that was telling me, okay, now you're ready to make that step.
Mm-hmm.
And I just continue it until
Yes.
I
Baby
was
steps.
flying out of the country.
Yes, I love that. But a lot of people will sort of stay stuck on the, yep, but don't we need money? So how did you solve that challenge? The money challenge.
Um, I solve it by seeing money not as something I need, but something that comes and go.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say for that, that your perception of money is gonna describe how you use it and what you do with it. So I prepared myself in a way that most people might just not decide to do that. So it's not like I had plenty of money. I just really built a good credit score. I was able to like just use that. So I use the money system and how it works. And I decided not being scared of indebting myself and do something I really love, and just I put all the faith in myself in that
Yes,
journey. That's
trust.
exactly what I did. So I just let go of every expectation of how money works, how society wants you to like get the best, like the most amount of it, and being sure that you have like backup plan and everything. I just did like F all that, and we're just gonna go and have faith in ourselves. At the end of the at the end of it, if you don't have money or you're indebted or you lose everything, the worst case scenario is you have to build it up again.
Yes.
You're not dying. You still have people around you that will help you if anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really my perception of money. I'm not scared of it. I use it.
Yes. And you're saying something really important there because lots of people have all of these beliefs, often limiting beliefs around money and how money works, and that money can run out, and that you can find yourself in a situation of not having enough of it. And then they are scared of the consequences for it. But if you can just well, connect with your heart's desire and follow whatever lights you up, what makes you really happy, and then trust that the rest will take care of itself.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And something interesting I learned because we went through Asia, and those are really poor country compared to Western ones.
Yes.
And everyone sees us as you can get out of your country, so you must be rich,
Yeah.
which is not the case.
Mhm.
They might even have more money than me, and we don't know. So
Yeah.
it's something very interesting. Just because we have a different lifestyle, we have to meet some expectation of that lifestyle, but it doesn't define what we have or who we are per se.
Well,
So that's something I'm still learning because like I'm now in Egypt and people are looking at me from tuk-tuk and then doing this to me like kids. And it's just like, wow, the perception is so different. Like
yeah.
we look like people that have millions of dollars, but that's not the case.
No, I totally get what you're saying. I went to the Dominican Republic, and they kept if you weren't careful, your wrists would be wearing all of these bracelets, and you would have all of these things woven into your hair, and then you needed to pay for it because it was already on your wrist or it was already in your hair, and they expected you to indeed buy all of it because you were the rich foreigner because you had the
Hmm.
money to come into their country. Well, they didn't see that we had to save 4 years for that trip to be able to come there. And
Hmm.
it's indeed it's perception, but it's again also the rules, the rules of society, the things that have been handed down from generation to generation. And I think a good end conclusion that we've reached here is that it's is so much more important to figure out what you believe than it
Yeah,
is to just blindly believe what you've been told.
yeah, exactly. Everything is about perception. You decide and own your own perception, you're taking control of you, who you are, and who you're becoming, and what you want to give to others. Because when you interact with anyone in your life, you're giving a part of yourself. You're
Yeah.
sharing a part of yourself, and that is also something that wherever you go, you're going to be shining in a different way or just vibrating in a different way that will attract different things too.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. I love that. Oh, thank you so much, Cindy. This has been a really, really wonderful talk. And I can imagine that if you've been listening, if you've been watching to us talk, that it was also very enlightening for you. I really hope so. And both Cindy and me, we would love to hear from you. So maybe in the comments, you could share your specific story. If you feel resonance with what we shared today, then we would love to hear your story. Or maybe you just think, oh, this is such a huge insight that I got out of this talk today. We would love to hear that as well. Or maybe you have a question. Put it in the comments. We would love to hear from you. I can also imagine that you think, well, I feel drawn to Cindy's energy and I would love to just talk with her. So, where could people connect with you if they wanted to, Cindy?
I have my Instagram that I can share. I have a Facebook page. It's more in French though, and I have a TikTok. So I guess we're gonna put it in the description or something.
Yes. I will make sure
So
that all Cindy's links are included in the description below this video so that it becomes very easy for you to connect or to reach out to
mhm.
Cindy if you feel drawn.
Thank you so much for having me, Barbara. It was lovely.
Yes, it truly was lovely, and I feel very blessed that you agreed to become a guest on this show. And I loved your story and your honesty in sharing everything. So thank you for being here
Thank
today.
you.
And you, of course, listener or supporter, thank you for always being here, for always tuning into this show, for showing your love and your support for the channel. If you are new here, it would mean the world to me if you could subscribe to the channel. That will help me reach even more people. And if this video was valuable to you, then we would really appreciate it if you would share it with your people, because you never know who needs to hear this message today. I wish everybody a really great rest of your day, and I look forward to inspiring you with another beautiful guest in next week's episode. Bye for now.